3, 2. And we are rolling.
Nice.
So we thought it would be a great idea to do some lockdown rewatches on, well, anything really that we feel are classics. So I guess that's cue the intro, right?
Hit it.
How's it going, dude?
Very good in you, man.
Nice.
I'm still in isolation. No one loves me. Oh, well.
Your dogs do. They were like making a noise earlier, so they want your attention. They want your love.
Fair enough. So this is our movie list, recommended classics to keep you, I suppose, entertained in lockdown. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. As much as it's a cliche, I do think it's relevant. There might be something that someone's forgotten, or like, and I'm sure the stuff you mentioned, like, I still have it where someone's like, "You haven't watched that? How haven't you watched that?" Like, and something on this list might be that for someone. The problem is sometimes something's like an old classic, and you go back and watch it, and you're like, "That's fucking terrible," because in its time it was amazing.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I'm gonna let me jump in and start. Like, I'm actually gonna start backwards on my list. Something super random is I'm gonna start with Joe's Apartment. I don't know if you
Love it.
Yeah, dude. So I don't know where you'll get hold of that online, but where there's a will, there's a way. The basic premise is I'm terrible with actors and actresses and stuff, but this dude, total bum, moves into an apartment and he finds out there are talking cockroaches that run the place. And as with any movie, he has basically a battle with them because cockroaches are cockroaches, and he quickly realizes that he's got to surrender and submit to these guys and become friends with them, and they end up helping him out with it is a sort of generic cliche love story, but it is awesome. These little high-pitched cockroaches.
It was starring Jerry O'Connell. That's who it is.
Thank goodness, I'm so bad with actors, but yeah, it's like a 100%. Like, it still holds for me, but other people might be like, "What are you smoking?"
Dude, Joe's Apartment, for singing cockroaches. It's an MTV movie, so there's a lot of that blend of musical, unique numbers intertwined or interlaced in the story. And man, sewer surfing is one of those classic ones for me. I loved it.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for good Jerry O'Connell movies, another one that he did with Ryan Reynolds is called Buying the Cow. He's like a single bachelor dude, and he's trying to figure out this whole relationship thing, getting married. He's kind of got a girlfriend, and he's trying to figure out if she's the one, or if the one is still out there somewhere. Oh. So, Buying the Cow, Ryan Reynolds has sort of a cameo-y kind of role in it, and it's beautiful. He is epic in that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the most comedy-driven one. So the list is going to change quite drastically. I'll try to be subtle. But another one I got is Lucky Number Slevin. And the cast alone is just, I don't even know how they got everyone to agree to be in that movie. Because, it doesn't look like the most high-budget movie. I think everyone just legitimately loved the script. that's Morgan Freeman, Bruce Willis, Josh Hartnett. Yeah, I always get his surname mixed up. Lucy Liu. Like, it's just like, and there's those other guys that they're still big actors. I just can't think of their names, but yeah, man, mind-screwing movie.
Turns.
Yeah, it's just it's like it's up there, man. Like, it's an oldie, but like, and I've watched it a couple of times later, and that holds, like, because it's not so old that it's like crappy quality or anything. It's still like totally watchable.
Dude, I actually watched that with a friend of mine. I think it was Maria, girl I do Krav Maga with. She came around and watched that, and like you say, man, it was one of those things where she was like, "You've never watched this movie? How are you alive?" You watched it, and she was just like, "Oh my God," mind blown. So, good choice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Then I'm going to go into Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, yeah, dude, that again, that it is slightly aged, but if you can get past that, it's still, yeah. And that's based on a true story.
Dude, is it's set in a specific time period. So it's allowed to age,
Yeah.
so to speak.
No, exactly. And I mean, it's Frank Abagnale or whatever his name is, the original. I mean, it's based on a true story. They obviously have glamorized it a little bit. And they interviewed him and they said, don't get this wrong. Like, I'm not trying to. I did this because I felt like I had no choice. Again, I don't want to give away the story, but he's a 16-year-old guy. Parents get divorced, and he finds that fraud is really his only way out. And he does the most extreme, absurd things. Like the fact that it's even remotely based on a true story is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, totally.
So
Leo and Tom Hanks, that
yeah,
dynamic.
Tom Hanks. I even
between the two
forgot
of them,
about him. Yeah,
excellent.
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so then it's a bit of a like. It's still one of my favorites at this point. I actually want to watch it. It's probably gonna be the first one on my list. Is Butterfly Effect with Aston Kutcher. And I
That's always
recently,
been one of your all-time faves.
yeah, dude, something about time travel and the fact that you can't fix things, it just like hits me in the feels. And I think we were having this conversation the other day where a lot of people don't know it has an alternate ending.
Yeah, I didn't even know you were like cluing me up on the alternate ending.
Yeah, so I want to see if I can find that scene and show you, but I got to watch the whole thing through because the DVD. I mean, that's still when DVDs were out. They were releasing, and some had the one ending and some had the other, so it like screwed people's minds up completely. But yes, it's essentially the butterfly effect. So it's changed one thing, and it has this ripple effect on so many other things that you wouldn't think about. I mean, there's been a lot of movies that have done that, but Butterfly Effect was not one of the first, definitely not one of the first. But because I'm actually thinking of other movies as it. There's a movie that I'm trying to think of now. It's also freaking phenomenal, and I didn't put it on my list. And why can't I think of it? I just want to mention it. But it's Christian Bale, man. What is like? It's at that heavy like sci-fi film.
Equilibrium.
Yeah, Equilibrium. Also, like a freaking phenomenal film. I didn't have that on my list, but definitely
Throw it in
worth
there
a
'cause
mention.
it's a classic.
Definitely. So then, actually, funny enough, I actually did have this first on my list, but I wanted to start lighthearted. So this does. Anyone who goes deep down the rabbit hole, like too far with conspiracies, maybe this is not the right movie for you. But if you can just go, that's worth a thought, and then kind of let it go. But as V for Vendetta, obviously it's a comic, but the movie is like I know Alan Moore probably doesn't agree, but the film is phenomenal. Natalie Portman. It's beautiful, and it's very tied into government conspiracies, and how just one of many things of releasing a disease and having the cure for political agendas and stuff. And also just it's crafted so poetically. There's something that always gets me about that film, man. Like then next is also a super old classic is Donnie Darko. I mean
Wow.
that's Jake Gyllenhaal, is it not?
Yeah,
I always get him mixed up with and that, dude, that's that might, I feel like for a newer generation, that might feel a bit dated, but the soundtrack,
classic, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a super cult classic. So I feel like I'm running through this list really quick.
Don't worry, I've got some stuff to bolster.
But they are super obvious classic. Next one is Fight Club.
Tyler Durden.
Yeah, so Brad Pitt, Edward Norton,
Yeah, man.
I can't remember what's her real name, but she's playing Psycho in the film. But it's just stupidly good. That still also totally holds, man. So anyone wants to know, it's kind of like a split personality sort of vibe film. I don't want to give too much away. It's just too cool. You've got to watch it. Very dark, very gritty. Then the next one's also a comic. Me coming back to my Frank Miller days, is Sin City. Not everyone's cup of tea, but if you're into that sort of noir, sort of classic, like narrated sort of, I just love the style, the way there's like repetition on certain words of the characters that hold and come back and tie themselves together.
And for me, it's still one of the truest sort of translations from comic book to screen. I mean, there's parts of that movie that have certain imagery in the film, and you can literally open up the graphic novel and that exact same
straight
imagery
out the pages,
is there, like they've taken it out of the pages and stuck it on the screen. Brilliant.
Yeah. And then I'll just throw in that as Also 300. Also it's got a similar vibe, and I mean it is also Frank Miller, so I mean it is a similar sort of told. I mean, very different story, obviously, but the way they've used things and sort of stolen things out of it, that's just a straight up Spartan. Yeah, like I feel like everyone's probably watched it, but I'm probably wrong. So another one, man, and I've actually.
Well, sorry, before you move off that, if people enjoy that kind of old school gladiatorial battle type thing, Gladiator,
Oh,
Russell Crowe,
100%. Yeah, dude, that's a no-brainer, hey.
right there with it in terms of just sheer scale, epicness, and man, that movie gets you right in the feels at certain
Yeah,
points.
heart-wrenching, yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And this might seem like a bit of a random one, but because I went through an old DVD collection of mine to spike all these, and I still own DVDs. Like I was like, what the hell?
Okay.
And I don't remember the full concept of it, but I remember like it broke me, man. So I want to rewatch it again. But I don't know if you've ever watched a film called The Jacket.
No.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's got this like strange time sort of. Again, you see a recurring theme here with the butterfly effect, and it's, man, I can't remember the actor's name. Maybe I can Google it quickly for you. He also acts in The Pianist.
Oh, okay.
Thin, skinny dude.
I know who you're talking about. He's a foreign guy, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, his name's Adrian Brody.
Oh, yes, Brody. Okay, yes.
Yeah, and even so, I didn't even know this, but it just shows you how. But Keira Knightley's in the film too.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to her, but yeah, like, but yeah, it's a check it out. It's like I'm gonna definitely rewatch it. I know it's in my collection for a reason. Then another one, but this again also total cult classic, is Requiem for a Dream.
Sure. Nice.
I mean, it's basically what made Leto famous. And I mean, there's I always forget her name. Also Google it.
For you, it's Leto's there, so I'm not even surprised that that's in.
And it's a super rough movie. To anyone just like, yeah, beware. Like there's just like no happy ending whatsoever. You keep waiting for it and it just doesn't come. Like it's like, so when is it gonna be happy? No, it's not. And that's what I think what everyone did love about that film, is as screwed up as it is, and twisted and dark, is that it's because, yeah, it feels realistic. That's kind of how things would play out. And if anyone wants a general thing, it's not the only theme, but it's got a recurring thing of how every generation is addicted to something, some form of vice to get them by. In some shape, form, or another. The actress that I was talking about is Jennifer Connelly.
That's it, yes.
Yeah, and she's got a rough role in that film. Like,
she's just so hot. Oh, Jennifer Connelly.
Dude. I mean, I think what, I'm not going to mention the scene, but the scene where like basically she gets paid to do what she needs to do, and that's just like next level. What the hell?
Yep.
So swiftly moving on, another film that I love, it's like the monologue to my life, is Sucker Punch.
Oh yes, that's
it's Zack Snyder.
That's it, Zack Snyder. Nice.
But I know for some people, because it is like this story of like told out, like it's got its anime vibe, but it's real characters, and it's got this constantly underlying thing, the story that you like. And it's literally the monologue that you have all the weapons you need. You are fully equipped to fight yourself out of your situation and be better.
Sure.
And they do it very creatively. And like I said, I think for some people it does. I mean, all Zack Snyder's film is like stupidly long. I think it's also a 3-hour film. So that gets to some people. But it's a cool film, man. And it's also got a really original soundtrack. I can't remember I think her name's, man, I always forget her name, but the actress, which acts in American Gods also. She did singing in like for most of the soundtrack, so she's a very diverse actress.
Nice.
Yeah, and then like my last sort of two is it's also, so another one's The Grey, with Liam Neeson in. I don't know if you've watched it.
That's when he's out in the snow.
Yeah, with
the
wolves.
wolves.
And what I love about that film is, like, I don't want to get deep, but like for a lot of people, you can watch that on the surface as is. Guys get trapped in the snow and get hunted by wolves. But if you look at it, there's so much imagery and so many like metaphors for like the alphas, going toe to toe, and also like choosing whether you, at the end of the day in life, you've got to choose whether you want to die or whether you want to fight to live. And it's so well executed and showed. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but at the end of it, the alpha of his pack, Liam Neeson and his guys, goes toe to toe with the alpha of the wolf pack.
Nice.
So it's just, to me, it's got lots of hidden, and also there's some really like emotionally wrecking, scenes in the film. So it's Ridley Scott also, who did the film. And I mean, he's famous for a bunch of other reasons. Yeah, I think the last one I'd throw in, because everyone's probably like, you guys are talking about comics, but there's like almost no comic films. So I thought I'd just throw it in there as a classic, but Batman Dark Knight with Heath Ledger in,
Okay, I actually watched Batman Begins the other day on Netflix, and yeah, it actually still holds up.
I did that also a while ago, and it had me, dude. Everything, even Liam Neeson's Ra's al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it, Ra's al Ghul. Christian Bale, I know, you and I differ on opinions of that, but he's always been my Batman, because I think it's a generational thing. But there's one scene I just can't anymore. And again, that's I think that's like, it was amazing in the time. But there's a scene with him and Katie Holmes, and he's like, I'm gonna get the line horribly wrong, but he turns around as Batman and he's like, it's not your words, but it's your actions that define you. And he jumps off the cliff. And that's what she said to him. and obviously that's when she realizes, oh, he's Bruce Wayne. And that was epic at the time, and I watched it and I had to hold back laughing. I was like, no, dude, that feels so cheesy now. Why? Like, I hate myself for feeling that way, but it really does. It's just, I'm like, no. But again, like, but I watched Dark Knight, and that still holds, dude. Heath Ledger, I don't know.
Yeah, some of those monologues that he has are so relevant today. That one when he's in the prison and he's talking about just people's base nature and given these extreme circumstances, what they'll do to each other. It's
and his chemistry, man, like and I also do want to touch on that. I feel like I should, like, a lot of people, obviously the media ate that up and said, the reason he committed suicide because the Joker role drove him mad, and apparently that is the biggest load of hogwash. If they've interviewed actors afterwards, there's that one guy, I don't know his name, unfortunately, black gentleman, he's one of the big gangsters in there that's like 500 alive, a million,
right,
or whatever, and he said that literally Heath Ledger on set would break character every now and then and do things to them, be like, what do you think of this laugh, what do you think of that, and he's having literally the time of his life. Cool. And that, I mean, you guys can search that. I'll try maybe find a link on YouTube. And
in the comment section.
And that just like, so that bummed me out. But I have to admit, man, like, I know everyone's got good things to say about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, but Ledger, man, is just. And look, maybe I'm a sucker for the tragedy of it all.
I don't know.
But
I agree with you. Ledger's Joker was.
Yeah, there's just something about it. There's just so much more. Look, I understand that they are two totally different stories. They're meant to be, but I don't know if you saw that meme. It's hilarious, dude. Where it's like a Batman and he's like crying, and it's like when all you're trying to do is like be good and save lives, but the bad guys keep getting the Oscars.
I have, yeah. That is funny. I love that. And for me, my ultimate Joker is still Mark Hamill in the animated, but that's another.
Yeah, 100%. But dude, he's got that voice down.
Definitely.
100%, yeah.
Okay, nice, dude. I like your list. Some nice classics there. I can counter with some that off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, I have caught you off guard a bit, so we might have to do a part 2 some other time of Warren's list.
No, I can clap some out quite quickly for you. One that came up, and I literally watched it on the weekend because just before we went into lockdown, at the office, a couple of us were joking and reminiscing about the movie Spaceballs.
Of course, yeah. Jeez,
and man, I had to just pull that thing down again and rewatch it, and man, it still holds up. And when I look at that comedic cast, John Candy, Mel Brooks, just Rick Moranis, it is still, for me, it is the ultimate Rick Moranis role. He As Dark Helmet, man, he almost steals the show. It is so funny.
Yeah.
So that is still it's one of my all-time favorite.
Yes, dude, this sucks because I'm thinking of stuff as you say, like, because I'm just off you saying Spaceballs. I mean, I thought of like Mallrats is another one.
Right?
I mean,
Right?
Kevin Smith, and man, I've already forgotten it. What is wrong with me? Grandma's Boy is just, it's so ridiculously stupid. And then there's like the Kung Paos and Kung Fu Hustles, which are just.
Oh, dude, love Kung Fu Hustle. Man, that movie is epic. Ah, okay, so there was Spaceballs, and
Yeah,
guys,
sorry,
you need to
man.
watch that. That is just so funny still. You went over my helmet? Sorry. Another one that, not comedy, but for me, classic, timeless one that introduced us to probably the biggest action star of his generation, if not all time, and that's Conan, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, for what it was in its time set, fantasy type movie, relatively good, true to the comics, etc. Conan, man, that movie is still epic. That little monologue when he's sitting there and there's Conan, what is best in life? Cast your enemies. He just goes on this whole thing. Oh, see the woman lamenting as you. Oh, just classic, love it. Next up, sticking with Schwarzenegger, one of my all-time favorites still is Predator.
Sure. Yeah.
That is still totally epic, and it holds up for me, man. At the time, it had these massive action stars, a lot of former wrestlers, bodybuilders in it, big, mean-ass Marines going after this, guys in a jungle, and it just all goes pear-shaped from there when they get hunted by the Predator. It's a classic. Sticking with that, in the sort of sci-fi out there theme, Aliens, so not the original Alien with Sigourney Weaver, but the second movie, Aliens. And if you can find it, the director's cut in particular,
that's all Ridley Scott, right?
100% Ridley Scott. And the director's cut of Aliens is just epic. There's a lot of extra scenes and footage in there that just helps holistically wrap up the story and tell the story. I remember watching that as a kid, and to this day, there's some parts that just freak me the hell out. And if anyone played the game, Aliens versus Predator versus Humans, that dude, flashbacks of how chills and how scared I used to get playing that game. I used to have flashbacks to Aliens, the movie. Another classic off the top of my head, complete shift now, maybe going a little bit more on the light-hearted side, but in the cult.
It's good, dude, because I had a lot of dark stuff, so light-hearted is like welcome.
It's a movie that proper cult classic. That's Empire Records.
Oh, dude, how did I forget that? Wow.
It's quick premise for anyone who's going to watch it. It's a bunch of guys working in a record store. And for the millennials out there, that was a place where we used to go and buy CDs, tapes, or even vinyls. Proper record store. And it's all these teenagers from different walks of life dealing with different things. And their common ground is this record store. And man, the antics and stuff that goes on in there with this one character, Lucas, and how Lucas, his whole character, how he kind of finds some sort of sage wisdom as the movie goes on, and it's awesome. It's just, you have to watch Empire Records.
Yeah.
It's a great soundtrack as well. Still in the lighthearted vein, Adam Sandler movie that just gets me, and that's The Waterboy.
Oh, of course, yeah, dude. Jeez. That is also 100% classic.
Yeah, they'll say like the Happy Gilmore, and definitely Happy Gilmore is right up there. Watch Happy Gilmore too, but just the character he plays in The Waterboy with it. I love Ricky Valancourt, right? She let me see her boobies, and I like them too. It's a classic Adam Sandler movie. Just so many different, unique characters, and it gave us that our all-time favorite, Rob Schneider, when he's in the crowd with his pitchfork. You can do it. So The Waterboy, Happy Gilmore up there. Some movies, if you like, great interaction between characters, great banter. It's a Shane Black movie, and for those of you that may not sound familiar, Shane Black did Iron Man 3. And this movie, it's not that. It's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey with Val Kilmer.
Yeah. Funny enough, dude, I don't know if you, I think I saw this in Joe Rogan's podcast where it wasn't as well received, but apparently Robert Downey Jr., it's one of his favorite films that he did to date out of everything. It's just stuck with him.
I can believe it because the movie is a good movie. It's got a good story, but just the chemistry between him, Val Kilmer, between Downey and I think it's Rachel McAdams or McGowan or something like that. It just, dude, kiss, kiss, bang, bang. Just for the dialogue and the banter between characters, exquisite. On the same note, great banter, great chemistry with characters. The Last Boy Scout, Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. It's an oldie, but man, good action and just the chemistry and the banter between Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis. Epic.
Yeah. I just thought of another film. Sorry I'm interrupting, but I just don't want to lose the thought. But it's, again, I hope you're sticking to lighthearted, but I mean, Tom Cruise with Last Samurai is also, like, it's heavy, dude, but I don't want to dwell on that too much, but...
I'm one of the biggest Tom Cruise fans, and I think he was robbed that he didn't get an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Wow.
The character growth is just insane. But anyway, I'm jumping into... I just wanted to... I knew I'd lose that thought, so I'm so sorry.
Semi-lighthearted, my favorite Christmas movie of all time, and yes, it is a Christmas movie, Die Hard! It is also, what is it? Jake Peralta in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, his all-time, the movie that made him want to be a cop.
For sure.
Die Hard, Bruce Willis. It's a classic. And
no arguments that it's a Christmas film. I'm with you on that.
At the last 2 Christmases in a row, I have put on Die Hard, and more than one Die Hard, and it's just good, wholesome entertainment, man. Love those movies. Another one that's light-hearted, fun, magical is Willow. I don't know if you've ever seen Willow. Also, Val Kilmer, very young Val Kilmer. Okay. Fantasy movie. George Lucas did it, and
oh wow,
it's about and it's about this dwarf named Willow, and he was an aspiring wizard, and he gets caught up in this magical quest. He has to save this baby that's destined to sort of restore balance and order in this magical realm. And along the way, he meets this sort of roguish knight, Val Kilmer. Great story. Some cute, funny moments as well, but just a nice family movie, I guess you could say too. But if you like the fantasy, it's got the dragons and it's got all that other stuff as well. Very cool. Willow. Another one that I watched recently because I actually watched a YouTube documentary on it. It's somewhere out there, but it's Iron Man, the original Iron Man.
Okay.
And man, that movie still holds up. It's the one that started the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
And this documentary goes in a lot of the behind the scenes. It gives you the story how they were literally like making the script up as they were shooting the film. They had ideas, and then on the day they would take this idea and like, okay, fine, let's get the dialogue, and they would just roll and let Downey and all them kind of.
Yeah, Downey's the right guy to do that though, so he's good at winging it. So
it's a good documentary, about 20 minutes or so on YouTube if you can find it. Sort of like how the making of Iron Man came to be, interviews with Favreau and all of them, and that just inspired me to watch Iron Man again, it's still epic, man. What a good show. And I think that's kind of my list.
Yeah, your timing's pretty good, dude. I definitely think we're going to have to do like a part 2 of this, or maybe do this like, especially in the lockdown, do a couple of these because...
A continuation, as it were.
Yeah, I think the memory card or whatever is going to like screw out soon, so it might be a really good or bad organic ending to this episode, I guess.
Totally. Let's cut it here.
Cool.